The WSU Fight Song, the roaring crowd, the electric atmosphere. Washington State University's Cougar Marching Band is often the heart and soul that connects WSU alumni and fans at these games. Welcome to Viewscapes, the podcast of Washington State Magazine. In this episode, new Cougar Marching Band director Jon Sweet takes us behind the scenes. He talks about the music, the marching, and the incredible Coug spirit in the band.
I'm Adriana Janovich, Associate Editor of Washington State Magazine, and I'm here with Jon Sweet, the new director of Cougar Marching Band. Dr. Sweet started at WSU on June 1st, 2023, and recently completed his first season with the CMB. Dr. Sweet, how did your first season go? What stood out to you? What impressed you?
We had a lot of fun. It was a great season. The students that I got to collaborate with on these shows were terrific. Had great student leaders, had, everything that was in our purview went well. The thing that I think I liked the most was the fans in the stadium. They were so kind and energetic and, responsive to the band. And our team, I feel like, played really well at home for the most part. We had a couple little stumbles there, but, when the band was rocking and the crowd was rocking, we definitely had the home field advantage, and that was a lot of fun.
And what interested you in CMB, WSU, and Pullman in the first place?
Well, the story I've been telling is, a friend of mine put me on to look at the job. But, the thing that sold me on it was the people here. When I got off the plane coming from Indiana to Pullman, I wasn't sure what to expect. And one of the assistant directors for the marching band picked me up, and we drove around town and hit it off really quick. And I think those interactions are what sold me the most. Just visiting with the students, visiting with the faculty, visiting with the School of Music faculty and the leadership at the university. It's a really fun and happy place where people like to be.
And talk about some of the changes you made this first season.
Well, the band was already doing some things that were really well. So the changes we had, there were some under the hood changes for how we learn marching band shows and things like that. We added an app called Ultimate Drill Book so that the students could see digitally exactly what their responsibilities were, where to stand on the field. I have it programmed so like Gisa Field is on the app and they could see, I stand right on the Coug head kind of thing for each spot. So we were able to do some neat things like that. We retooled the pregame show. It hadn't really been touched in well over a decade, so we felt like it was time to do that. And so we put the Cougars script logo in there. We put the Coug head. We added America the Beautiful, things like that into it. So, the changes were not drastic, I don't think, by any means, because the people that were here before us doing things did things really well. We were able to just put our personal stamp, freshen things up. And, when you're collaborating with the team of people that I get to work with every day, they had some really great insight on what things had worked really well, what things had not worked. And we made changes so that the students had a great experience and then the fans would have a great experience, all those things.
And what were some of your favorite shows this season?
Wow, that's hard because each one of those shows is like a child. I designed the visual for all of the shows. And so I spent a lot of time making all that stuff come together. So, I think I liked them all in one way or another. If I had to rank them, the space show was a whole lot of fun. I loved doing the Star Trek music and playing Rocket Man and spelling Win the Day out there because that was a fun little, thing we were able to throw in. I liked the Shrek show. That was a show that I had back in my brain for, 5 or 6 years now. So I finally had the opportunity to do it. I think my favorite moment, though, was the very first halftime of the year. And that's when we did the Hard Rock show. We had that first big hit in your face of music. And the crowd was like, wow, that's cool. And, got a lot of social media views. My heart before every show is pumping out of my chest, almost like this huge nervous energy of how is it going to be how are the fans going to respond to it? And the fans delivered every time. It was wonderful. I guess probably second, I really liked the first time we made the Coug head logo in pregame and they put it on the Jumbotron and the crowd was like, ooh, cool. That was a cool moment. Any moment where my students are smiling and the faculty are smiling and we're all having a good time, we're not stressed about how the performance is going to go because we know the kids are going to do great. That's a great moment. And we've had a lot of those this year.
Do you have favorite music for the CMB to perform to?
My standard boilerplate answer for that is anytime we do a show, I want to hit a bunch of different generations with it. So maybe, we have classic with regular in there. And sometimes we're able to do that really well. Sometimes the show theme doesn't really work with it well. I'm a huge fan of classic rock. I love movie soundtracks. Some of the latest pop stuff, I enjoy that. I started listening to Taylor Swift. And I guess, when you're in my line of business, if you don't keep up with the latest kind of music, you're lost. And, so the thing to me is I like things that the crowd can resonate with, maybe sing along with. Those kind, I remember when we did All Star this last year, I heard people in the crowd, lots of people in the crowd singing along with it. When we did Take Me Home Country Roads and we spelled home in the middle of the field and made the outline of the state of Washington, and I heard people singing Country Roads, Take Me Home. I thought that was cool. So, those moments, I guess those are my favorites.
The CMB recently launched a campaign for new uniforms. Tell us about that. Why do they need them? Can you give us kind of a preview of what the new ones will look like? Have you reached your fundraising goal, or how much is still needed to provide those new uniforms?
When I got offered the job, I'd already asked about uniforms and things like that. I love our uniform design. It's great. It resonates with the crowd. Everybody, it's iconic and things like that. But this band every 10 years or so has changed up the look. It's just, time to do that. But I didn't go into this season thinking that we were going to need to do it so soon. Two things started happening that we had to start planning way ahead for. We're talking a year in advance just because we had to. The uniforms, when we were fitting out the band this year, we were, over 200 people this year. And with them being, 7 or 8 years old at the time, they were wearing out. We had some uniforms that were just unusable completely. The weather here is widely varied. It just goes all over the place. So it had been in rain, snow, all sorts of things. They were nearing the point of unusefulness. They weren't holding clean and things like that. But the biggest thing is we just didn't have enough. We had, some larger people this year that I praise them for being so flexible, and I never heard a single student complain, but we had to sew extra parts in the back of the jacket to have enough to fit our band. We just didn't have enough. So we had to take smaller jackets that we didn't need for smaller folks and buy a panel of, it's like a nylon gabardine that we use in the fabric. Put zippers on opposite sides and make a panel so we could extend the size of the jacket. From 50 yards away, most people couldn't tell. And we were really thankful for that. And a lot of our stuff is like that. But if you get up close to the band, you start seeing threads and all sorts of things and jackets that don't fit right. So we wanted to make sure that with our band that's growing, we gained about 30 students this past year, and we're looking at another big gain, hopefully, this next year, that we wanted to have enough uniforms so we didn't have to turn people away. One of the coolest things about the Cougar Marching Band is if you've marched in high school band or you've been in high school band, even if you haven't marched, if you just flat out been in high school band, we have a spot for you. And we want you to be there. And we want you to cheer on the Cougs and have that positive experience. And without more uniforms, we weren't going to be able to offer that to everybody. We'd have to limit enrollment. So we're trying to figure that out. When it comes to the fundraising component, I feel like we've done pretty good overall. We kicked it off in mid-September. Now we're almost to mid-February. So we've, 5 months down the road, 6 months down the road, something like that. I'm not a math person, I'm a band person. So, I think we're around 40% of our goal. When we first kicked off the fundraiser, the amount that we were going for $250,000 because of the estimated cost of the uniform. Once we finalized the design, we found that we didn't need as much, which is great. So now our target is to get enough uniforms for next year, right at 200,000, a little bit more. Once you include taxes and things like that, closer to 210. We're not there yet. We're still visiting with people and stakeholders and finding what we can do. We're working with the money that we have raised. Our uniform is going to have different options that we can use based on the temperature outside. We're getting new pants, the new pants part of the uniform, and the lighter weight top, so that we're good for the first few games. And then hopefully we can raise a little bit more and order the next layer and more in the order of the next layer. So by the end of the season, we're good. If we don't raise enough money to do that, and the university is unable to help us out in some way, and funds are limited, so we're trying to be very respectful of that, then we'll just put on some coats over the top of the lightweight stuff, the raincoats we have, and layer up so that our students are warm. I don't want them to be miserable when it's really cold outside. So we're not there. If you know somebody that would like to donate $125,000 to the band, I'm sure we can make it worth their while. And I know the students would be appreciative. But yeah, as for the look, it still has the Coug head on it. It is maybe a more modern look than what we've had for the last 10 years, but we want these uniforms to work for the, next 10 years until we need to do another design. We're trying to make sure that they're representative of what we want Cougs to look like, so that y'all can have a great entertaining experience, whether we're parading by you or performing at halftime or pregame.
They've got to look good and they have to feel good.
Yeah, for sure. A lot is asked of these students. It's almost, I see so many of them out of breath at the end of a show. It's almost like an athletic experience to perform one of these shows. So we want to give them the same treatment as, our outstanding athletes at WSU have. We want to make sure that they're, given the same respect and tools that they can have.
It is a lot of work. Talk about what the itinerary is for a game day at home. There's a lot that goes in behind the scenes.
A little over 6 hours before kickoff, we'll have a rehearsal at Giza. Go over both pregame and halftime, maybe run some music from the various parades and concerts that we give during the day. So we have to fit all of that in about an hour to, warm up, stretch, get some training stuff in and review. After that, for about, 5 or 10 minutes, the band forever has circled up around the Coug head on the field and sings Washington, My Washington. They do the band motto and things like that. And, the first time I was there to watch it, I almost, got a few tears in my eye. It's really special. And you watch, you've walked around, Adriana, and you've seen how much, passion our students have for WSU. And they all talk that, we ask them, what's the best part? They're like, oh, I just love the students and I love my friends and my family and I'll never forget performing with them. But you watch them singing Washington, My Washington, especially at the game you were at. That was the last time for the season, the last time the seniors did, and the students had the tears in their eyes. How important this experience is for their whole life. It's not just college. This is something that they're going to take with them for the rest of their life.
Washington, my Washington, the crimson and the gray. Just sing the songs of Washington, the crimson and the gray.
All of these students, everyone that I talked to would love, now that the season's over, they've had time to reflect, to go, yeah, I'd like to put my uniform on one more time and do one more performance after they've graduated. That means we're doing something right, I think. And I think that music speaks a lot to that.
It does give you chills to watch them circle around the Coug head in the center of the field. It was really cool to get to see them do that. And it's a neat part of the video that we have on our website.
Yeah, that was really cool.
What role does the marching band play on a college campus in general, and how important is CMB to the WSU community?
There's so much talk these days between pro games and college, and that line is getting blurred from student athletes with the NIL deals and things like that, conference realignment. All of that. And our marketing department wants to have a really great, sound system and things like that, and playing all, the current trendy music to, do things. But the one thing that college has, college football, college basketball, that pros don't have, and that's the marching band. You take that away and immediately it doesn't become the college experience anymore. I think that's one thing that's really special about WSU is our athletics department wants the band to be a part of the game day atmosphere, at the sports we're at. So when you come to WSU, you're going to get the college experience. I feel like it's my responsibility to care for the game day experience, to care for the college experience with our fans, so that when they come, they go, when they hear Win the Day, when they hear our fight song, and they're tailgating and we're, hundreds of yards away, but they can hear the echoes. They sing along with, and it becomes part of the Coug spirit. I'm a Cubs fan. And so when I walk into Chicago and the Cubs win and I hear the song, it immediately resonates. But, there's not that many of those songs. All of pro sports. There's a few here and there. But, on a whole, if you want to get all of the Coug fans united on something, all you have to do is play the fight song. People use commercials around here with the fight song because it resonates with the university, because, that's as iconic as the Coug head anywhere we go. We see the Coug head, we're like, that's the best logo in all of sports, all of college sports. Everybody sees that. Everybody hears our fight song. They're all united. It goes, that's the best fight song in all of college sports because that's my Coug fight song. So without the marching band, it's just another recording that's played, and that doesn't serve the same purpose. So that's my 2 cents on that.
It's the heartbeat of the university.
Yeah, for sure.
What are your hopes for the Cougar Marching Band during your tenure?
That changes from day to day. I would love to see the band bigger. To me, that's a product. And the process that we're all about is creating an environment where people want to be, where they love marching band, where, the faculty and the experience, how they interact, is all something that they go, I just can't live without this while I'm at WSU. So, that's our goal. Every day, my goal is, I love seeing students smile when they do something cool. Whether they've done it before or not, anytime they get that visual reaction where they smile, when they're coming off the field and they're smiling, they're happy, they're like, oh my word, that was the best thing in the world. When I see students who have this year posted the Facebook link or the eventually the YouTube links and things like that, when they post those and go, this was my favorite show I've ever done in my whole life. And then 2 weeks later, we do another show and they're like, I was kidding. No, this is my favorite, and seeing stuff like that when they're proud of what they're doing. And the fact that they're talking about how cool the band is, how cool their friends are, how cool the experience, the band is not one person. I've had a lot of people come up to me like, oh, you're the new marching band director. Oh, you're the new marching. It's just, lots and lots and lots of people want to put a name with that position. I think the best thing for me this year is people are talking about the kids. They want to know where I came from, but they're not saying, John, you did this. No, I didn't do a thing. I didn't play a single note. I didn't, that's all them. And watching them just light up and smile and go, I want to do that again. And then, they're going to have their kids in the WSU band in, however many years. and hopefully, you get the experience to teach the kids of kids of kids, kind of thing. So, what are my goals? It's creating a culture that people are just loving. I mean, I think that's the nitty gritty of it all.
What do you want Cougs to know about you? Your background, where you came from? What should they know?
I could talk about hobbies. I could talk about family, all things. I mean, if you want to know the weird thing, I always wanted to be good at sports, and I wasn't. I have two brothers that were both insanely talented in sports. They got all of that talent. And then I found marching band, and I was like, marching band and sports, like, and how all those come together. So really, I'm just a big sports nerd that loves to do band. I love to talk about sports. I'm a big hockey fan, Dallas Stars and things like that. I like watching baseball and basketball and, talking about my Kentucky Wildcats, and things like that. And most people will entertain for a second unless they really don't like Kentucky. But, I'm just a wannabe jock that does the music thing.
And what else is important for Cougs to know about CMB?
The thing about CMB is it's diverse. It's got all sorts of different students from different backgrounds. It's very representative of the way our campus is diverse. But, what I want you to know about that is these kids, these performers they're people that, go above and beyond their normal class day to participate in these things. If we're just hanging out, you always can go up and talk to a student. You'll probably find one that's a lot like you or majoring in something like you did. If you majored in a discipline other than music, 80% of our kids or so major in something other than music. I like to call those future donors, by the way. Come out and say hi. Come, when we're walking around, we're waiting for our next performance, you see the uniform. These kids love to, cheer on with you, sing the fight song, anything for you.
Dr. Sweet, thank you so much for joining me today on the podcast. Any parting last words?
I'll just say, go Cougs.
Thanks for listening. If you like the magazine podcast, please like us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. You can find more episodes and WSU stories at magazine.wsu.edu. This episode's music was from the Cougar Marching Band at a November 2023 football game. Go Cougs!
All right, Coug fans, under the direction of drum major Skylar McDavid, Ashley Thompson, Walter Christian,